Hey, welcome to the Bhanveer Show, India's second smartest podcast. और मैं हूं आपका बड़ा भाई भानवीर। और आज हम बात करने वाले हैं एक बहुत ही इंटेलेक्चुअल टॉपिक पे, काला जादू। और आज मेरे साथ हैं जादू। तो जादू जी, मुझे एक बात बताइए, आपके प्लैनेट पे लड़कियां कैसे पटाते हैं?
That question was not on the list, but I will try to answer it anyway. What is wrong with you?
No, nothing, sir. ये सब छोड़िए. Are you going to rename Soul Stone to Spirituality Stone?
The Soul Stone is actually very powerful. And... Boy! What is the matter with you?
Nothing, sir. Portable धूप, sir. मैं सुनूंगा, मैं चुपचाप सुनूंगा, sir.
So as I was saying...
वो सब छोड़िए, sir. मैं आपको बताता हूँ अपनी स्पिरिचुअलिटी की कहानी। एक बार मैं एक चुड़ैल से मिला, उसकी टांगे टेढ़ी हो गई।
This universe tires me.
मैं जिंदा हूँ। आपको पता है मैं क्यों जिंदा हूँ? क्योंकि मैं नो फैप करता हूँ।
I can't even believe we pulled that off. You know, while we've done it on a YouTube video, Marvel was one of the first few companies to popularize this multiverse of madness on the giant screen. But did you know that in 1996, Marvel was on the brink of collapse? It had filed for bankruptcy, was $250 million in debt, and had seen its stock price tank by 70%. Lots of people fail to understand how Marvel, with its cast of silly characters and capes, would ever turn a profit or become a big company. But they proved all of us wrong and ended up being a multi-billion-dollar business in a very short period of time. This video is their story of how they went from bankrupt to becoming one of the largest and well-known companies in the world.
So, in conclusion, we are building revolutionary steel products with really high profit margins. I really look forward to your investment.
Meanwhile,
ये मकड़ी है, ये चींटी है, और ये सर हमको भी नहीं पता क्या है। और ये जो है, ये हमारी काली विधवा।
But ये काली नहीं है।
रेसिज्म करता है।
After bankruptcy, Marvel transitioned into a cost-saving, lean, mean, cash generation machine. The first thing it did was it licensed its most memorable characters, the Hulk, Spider-Man, to different movie studios. Spider-Man, for example, was licensed to Sony. Another movie made out of the Marvel IP called Blade made $70 million on the box office, but Marvel only saw a return of $25,000.
साला ब्लेड हम बनाए, हमारा कैरेक्टर, पैसा कौन कमाया? वो लोग। यार ये आर्टिस्ट लोग की ना कदर ही नहीं रही इस दुनिया में कसम से।
मेरे पास 2 आइडिया है।
तुम कौन हो बे?
पहले हम अपने ही आईपी ओन करेंगे और हम खुद के पिक्चर निकालेंगे।
और पैसा?
लोन। और दूसरा आइडिया, तेरे को क्रॉसओवर करना था ना? हाँ। मकड़ी आदमी और काली विधवा के साथ। हाँ। आइटम सॉन्ग बना लेंगे।
आइटम सॉन्ग?
In 2003, an executive called David Meisel came to Marvel and asked them to do 2 very specific things. First, why not retain 100% ownership of your IP so that you reap all the benefits? And number 2, why not run crossovers between your characters like you did in the comic books? In theory, this idea could work. Marvel had both the executive talent as well as the creative talent to pull this off. So what they did was pulled off their most transformative move. They took a loan of $525 million to make the first ever Iron Man under their own banner. Did you know that Iron Man was actually a B-tier superhero that was raised to an A-tier profile by the Marvel marketing team?
ए छोटू, ये तेरे को आयरनिंग आता है?
हाँ दादा।
एक्टर बनेगा?
हाँ दादा।
चल तेरे को आयरन मैन बनाता हूँ। हाँ मेरी बहन, जरा ये $500 million का इन्वेस्टमेंट देना।
In 2007, Kevin Feige was brought as the president of Marvel Studios, and the first Iron Man film which went out into production ended up making $585 million in the box office. You know, there's one thing we take for granted in today's movies that didn't exist 20 years ago. And that is the idea of a cross-cultural universe, where every movie connected with the next and where you could expect characters from one movie to be in the other. Marvel popularized that, but they looked at inspiration as well. Their inspiration was the Mahabharata, the Norse mythologies, and many others, where they saw this saga of gods and humans interacting and said, hey, we should adapt that into movie format with our set of characters. And this wasn't accidental. Marvel had a grand plan spanning 4 phases with 28 movies that would define this universe, with a grand culmination called the Infinity War. Marvel Cinematic Universe gave us, the fans, a sense that we are part of this grand mystery, this grand collection of movies, and where we are part from day one to the end of the journey, with Thanos losing the battle. So beyond this point, most of us already know the Marvel story. So I'm going to stop right here and tell you the success formula for Marvel. According to a Harvard study, Marvel's film series succeeded because of a 4-step formula. The first one is that Marvel went out and hired directors who had absolutely no experience in directing superhero films in specific. Marvel focused on the filmmaking aspect first and the superhero aspect after that.
सर मैं पिक्चर बना रहा सर.
Rejected.
साहेब मी लई भारी पिक्चर बनवतो.
Rejected.
सर मैं MBA पिक्चर वाला.
Rejected. What's your experience?
सर 3.
3 what?
Robbery.
Wow, that is exceptional. I found just the guy. Yeah, he's got 3 of them.
The next thing is that Marvel leveraged a stable core from movie to movie and also gave their actors room to experiment.
मुझे लॉकी बनना है.
नहीं, मुझे लोकी बनना है.
नहीं, मेरे को लॉकी बनना है.
मैं ही बनूंगा लोकी.
See, there's a formula called the hero's journey, which most superhero films are based on, where there's a hero, the hero goes through conflict, and then there's a mentor that helps that hero, and then the hero gets better and, pays back. Now, Marvel didn't really stick to that formula. Like I said, Marvel's movies were of a different genre, and superhero was one of the characters in that type of movie. This is not just with the type of movie, it's also with the emotions in the movie. For example, Iron Man was a comedy movie. Thor was a dark movie. And it could change from movie to movie. The first Iron Man could have a different genre than the second Iron Man. This is just Marvel's style.
Sir, what about next movie, sir?
Our movies are going to be really diverse. The first one is a crime thriller. Second one is going to be a romance.
Thank you so much for.
The next one is that over time, in the last 10 years, computer-generated imagery got easier and easier. It's gotten easy enough where even us, a studio with 2 or 3 3D artists, can recreate Thanos. Marvel found this easier and easier as well, because 20 years ago, you couldn't make the kind of CGI that Marvel does in record time today.
तेन क्या एक कट्टूस देगा. लाइन बोल, डायरेक्टर साहब ने बोला है. चल बोल.
Please like, share, and subscribe so that these humans leave me alone.
The next thing was that Marvel actually worked hard on cultivating customer curiosity because they understood the fan. Not only that, Marvel put in nice Easter eggs, they put in end credits. These were all things that they pioneered in the industry.
Cash go, cash go, cash go, cash go, cash go, cash go, cash go. I'm the OG cash go.
नौ बताने वाली थी आईफोन से शूट करने की, पर गेम फ्लिप ऐसी बॉक्स ऑफिस लूट कर लेगी. अब पैसा 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 आने दो, कोई काउंट नहीं, ऊपर तक ना भरा हो जो ऐसा कोई अकाउंट नहीं. माल बहुत सब हिट, चुटकी में स्टॉन्ग सारे स्काई रॉकेट. मार्वल पे माल बहुत सब हिट, चुटकी में स्टॉन्ग सारे स्काई रॉकेट. मार्वल पे माल बहुत सब हिट, चुटकी में स्टॉन्ग सारे स्काई रॉकेट. मार्वल पे माल बहुत सब हिट, चुटकी में स्टॉन्ग सारे स्काई रॉकेट.